This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judging blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. It is Monday. We are in San Francisco as the Athletics are on the road. The next 10 games are going to be in division, where the Athletics are going to take on the Rangers starting tonight in Arlington. Then after that, it's going to be Houston for 4, and then finish up with the Seattle Mariners, right? Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah, and then
Texas, Houston, Seattle. So a good little chance for this ball club to start learning how to win in division and start playing these games later in the season in division. It's good to be back. I've been on hiatus, been in Hawaii. It was absolutely beautiful. If you ever get a chance to go to the Big Island, I highly recommend the Westin at Hapuna Beach and the Mauna Kea at Sister Resort right next to it. Absolutely fabulous. All-Star game, didn't really watch it whatsoever. I got it taped. It's so interesting when you're in Hawaii because everything starts at 2 o'clock there, because everything's starting at 5 o'clock West Coast time. So you're always in the water with the kids doing something, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, this happened. I can tell you this. My phone was blowing up after the All-Star game was decided by a little home run derby. Forget the home run derby the day before. I get it. Everybody thinks Brent Rooker got screwed. And, home run derby to me has jumped the shark years ago. I don't find it entertaining. They ruined it. It should be 10 pitches. It should be 10 outs the way it used to be. That way you could follow it. It's hard to follow it. They tried to make it into this super show with all these rounds and gimmicks and everything. It's just not the same as it used to be, and it's hard to get the best players to do it now because of the way they structured it, because they wanted to make a total show out of it. I've said multiple times on the show, I was there in '92 in San Diego, and Mark McGwire won it. And it was a star. It was Griffey, it was Bonds, it was Piazza, Big Hurt, McGwire. It was a who's list, and each guy got 10 outs. It was home run derby. It was great, and it wasn't round after round after round. But Brent Rooker will get over it. He hit a home run in the All-Star game, which was fabulous. And then I can tell you, I don't know when we want to get into it, when we will get into it, but for traditionalists, they're going to hate it. We've talked about this in the past. This may be the future of how we end extra inning games. It may be a way, like, I never want to get rid of the runner on second. And I know people hate that. Just selfishly for me, because I work after the game. So a 16-inning game is just horrific. But I'd be willing to give that up to go like we play 10, we play 11, maybe we play 12 the traditional way, and then end it with what? Home run derby. And we know, and now we got to see it. We got to see, right? We're getting to see stuff for the first time through the All-Star game. For a lot of people, the ABS system, the challenge system, people got to see what inning a game looks like with home run derby, how exciting that could be. Traditionalists are going to hate it, but bottom line, we're in the entertainment business. And if this is far more entertaining, something that we'll address. I know it's been a few days since that, and we're back to the second half of the season as the Athletics lost 2 of 3 to the Cleveland Guardians. But it's something that I think a lot of people, and I know from my phone, I don't know about your phone because you were the same thing. You were off the grid too with camping. My phone blew up with nothing but positive. Like, people like, this is awesome.
Yeah, the only person who was negative on it, and we both know the guy very well, the Milwaukee Mauler was not a fan of it, but everyone else loved it.
Mauler's old.
Yeah, he's old school.
I'm not. You know what? If you're over if you're over 45, sorry, I need the kids, and I need the 40 unders. If you're 40 under, I need you to love the game the way we love the game growing up.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
You're damn right. I was watching the Pete Rose HBO documentary on the way home on the plane last night. I didn't see it because I don't have HBO. It was fascinating. It reminded me when I was a kid how much I love baseball, how much I just look for, like the All-Star game and everybody's players, and I love players of every team. And like my favorite player growing up was not a guy that I grew up in my town. My favorite player was George Brett. Then Tony Gwynn would come along, and Tony Gwynn was my guy. But, George Brett I love players, right? And watching this Pete Rose documentary, remembering, that I was still too young for the Big Red Machine, but they started showing when he went to Philly. And I remember Mike Schmidt was badass, right? You think of the two best players in that era, Mike Schmidt and Ricky Henderson. But they're both very close in WAR. Mike Schmidt and Ricky Henderson were amazing during that time. They were head and shoulders above. George Brett was great, but nobody was better at third base than Mike Schmidt. I think Schmidt and Ricky Henderson's, their WAR are almost identical. Mike Schmidt led the league, National League in home runs 8 times, was a 10-time Gold Glover.
Schmidt 106.9, Ricky
so
Henderson.
Schmidt was 106.9. What was Ricky?
111.2.
Yeah, 111. So they were very close.
Well, Ricky played 25 years.
Schmidt didn't play 25 years.
Schmidt played 18.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Ricky was a little bit of a stat stuffer in the end, but it's okay. Yeah, it's just, I love players, and I want people to get back into that. Now, it's changed for me being in the business now for years. It's different now. But when I was a kid, I just loved the different players coming to town. It was always something special to see. And I wish I would have had interleague play when I was growing up. I had to drive up to Anaheim to go see American League Baseball. And I fell in love with American League Baseball once I moved to the Bay Area to go to college. So if home run derby settling games is something that people love, if the ABS system, a la challenge system, is something people love, I'm all for it. I don't care about your record books. I don't care about your old man. We can't change anything. Do not care. If you're over 40 and you don't like it, I don't care. Well, it's going to affect the standings. Don't care. If you be better. You know what I mean? It's the bottom line is when the NFL and the NBA start going in the postseason, no one even remembers what happens in the regular season, right? You got to. I'm tired of hearing about people's numbers and stats and what is going to get people? I can already see it now. Can you imagine? It gets to we just had a huge series this weekend in LA. The Brewers, my Brewers have won 10 in a row.
Oh, don't jump on the bandwagon.
My Brewers.
Are you finally going to be
the average Joes?
Are they going to win the division? Or are you going to be gutless and say they still won't win the division?
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Okay, I was wondering why.
Patches O'Houlihan.
I'm going to get those, but I was wondering what the reference.
Pat Murphy called him Average Joe's. Wasn't Average Joe's the name of the gym in the movie Dodgeball?
Yes.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. And he hits the guy in the face with their patches, hits him with the face.
Yes.
It's a great movie. Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn. But can you imagine? Just give me two teams. Let's say when the Yankees were playing the Dodgers, right? Great example. If it came down to 12th inning, we're still tied, it's going to be home run derby, and Major League Baseball puts it out. Yankees put it out. Dodgers put it out all on their social media. We're going to home run derby, and this is your lineup. How many guys you want on each side? 1, 2, 3, whatever it is.
The All-Star game was 3, right? So let's do 2.
It's going to be Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman, because Mookie Betts is struggling right now.
Just a little bit.
And Aaron Judge. Who else do you want for the Yankees? Belly to belly?
Jazz Chisholm was in the home run derby, but I'm taking Giancarlo.
Giancarlo?
Swing offs. It's a home run derby. You want a guy that has power.
He still has power?
I think, with the tennis elbow. I think he still does.
But whatever. You put that out, how many people would flock to MLB.com to watch that?
Or the network, yeah, or MLB Network. So you
that?
know, Yankees Dodgers will be on MLB Network.
Let's say tonight the Athletics and the Rangers. We're gonna go to extra innings, and we're gonna do Nick Kurtz and Brent Rooker. Who do you want for the Rangers?
Adolis Garcia, he has power. And
Seager?
Seager, maybe, yeah.
You don't think people would watch that?
Absolutely.
It'd be incredible. Once again, the entertainment. Like, everybody needs to start thinking about baseball's a little bit hot right now. Have the numbers come out for the All-Star game? How did it do?
Yes, I believe it got like 7 million. I don't know the exact number, but the graphic I saw maybe when I was gone was something like 7 million people watched the All-Star game.
There you go. It was up.
It was higher than the NHL, which no one watches, the NBA, and the NFL flag football.
You know, those I don't want to compare because baseball should do good because it's the only thing going on. You know, all of a sudden you started getting competition from the WNBA, but the WNBA, with the fact of what they're starting to do with the, how do I want to put this? The WNBA players claiming they deserve more money when the league has never made money and has been subsidized and lost billions. Whoa, it's a bad look. So baseball right now can capitalize on that. Baseball, it's by itself. Really, it should do well. So I'm glad that the numbers were up. And we saw 4th of July numbers were through the roof, especially streaming. That is all good news. Need to make the game, continue to make the game more entertaining. Bottom line.
Yeah.
And stop worrying about record books. Stop worrying about what traditionalists think. I don't like interleague play. I don't want a clock. You know what? What you guys think don't matter, because if you are somebody that has an opinion and doesn't want change, I already got you anyway. You already consume my product. You're already buying my product, right? When you get like one of our broadcasters, we have traditional broadcasters and how they're going to watch either way. So why do I care what they think? I already got them. They're already a client. I'm already billing them every month. I need new clients. And the new clients want to see this stuff. That's what they want to see. Challenge system, bring it now. Home run derby, extra innings. It's got to be whatever it's going to be. We got to experiment a little bit with it, but that's got to be coming down the line because it would bring so much excitement. That's what we need. We need excitement. And we have great players. We have great athletes. We need to showcase them more, right? Like the Milwaukee Brewers right now are the hottest team in baseball. And what a story it is. And like when we had Jared Diamond from the Wall Street Journal, where Jared was on this program and he sees baseball through the lenses of business, right? Wall Street Journal. So he's told us we need a Brewers to win the World Series. What we don't need is a Dodgers or a Mets to win the World Series. Because if that happens, everybody says, see, we can't compete. We need to lock everybody out and go to DEFCON 5 and fight for a salary cap. I think it's better for us to agree to a floor and some type of ceiling, make everybody kind of happy and not lock anything out. And by having a Brewers win the World Series, it makes it harder for the owners to all complain. Because hey, the Brewers just won it, or the Rays just won it, or whoever you want to put in there.
I think the Brewers are the they've won 10 in a row now. They have the second best record in the National League behind only the Cubs because the Cubs keep winning as well.
Aren't they tied with the Cubs?
Maybe I was looking at going into yesterday. I think the Cubs ended up losing. I think they have the same record. Yes, because the Reds. I think the Red Sox won yesterday's game against the Cubs. So the Brewers,
they're both 59 and 40. They are tied for the best record in baseball. Dodgers are one back at 58 and 42, and they are 2 and 8 in their last 10, not playing well. So
the Brewers have won all 6 games.
Dodgers winning again may be bad for the sport. It might be good for maybe the rating. Like super teams are good for ratings. We've seen that. It doesn't matter if you're talking about the Bulls, Patriots, 49ers, Lakers. Super teams are good. Good. Yankees back in the late 90s. Super teams are good for postseason ratings. But for the health of the sport, one of the top Mets, Dodgers, I even say Yankees win the World Series would be awful.
Yeah, I would like to see the Brewers selfishly I like to see the Brewers in the postseason, or the World Series, because they're a team that's been good every year and they're exciting. I mean, they don't have a superstar. They're winning without a superstar. They have a really good pitching staff, and I keep hearing Jim Bowden of MLB North Radio keeps saying, he goes, teams look for 2 number ones going into the trade deadline, and the Brewers got that with getting Jacob Mizorowski, calling him up for the minor leagues, and then having Brandon Woodruff come back from the injured list, which he's still working back, but their pitching is dominant. And in the back on their bullpen with Abner Uribe and Jared Koenig, the XA, and then their closer, McGill. McGill is a closer, and he's in the All-Star game. They get rid of Devin Williams. You're like, oh, man, they got rid of Hader, now Williams. What are they going to do? McGill's an All-Star. So they always find guys in the back end of their bullpen, and then they win with small ball.
I would argue that saying that they don't have a superstar is weak, because they do have a superstar. They paid him to be a superstar. He just turned out not to be a superstar.
Jackson Churio? I'm kidding.
Christian Yelich was considered. We had people on this program saying, is he better than Mike Trout? No. So they paid him. They paid him a lot of money. So they paid a guy to be a superstar. He just hasn't been that superstar. So for now to go, well, they don't have a superstar player. Oh, they're paying Yelich what he made.
He got good money.
140+ million.
Yeah, and Churio has a very team-friendly deal. But like when you look at like when I say, I guess, a superstar, a Judge, something like that. They don't have that. They just have a bunch of guys that.
Well, he was supposed to be. He was that guy at one point.
He was really good. He was an MVP and then an MVP finalist a couple of years, and then he just went like this, and back injuries and all that stuff. But they're excited. I like watching them play. A lot of people don't. I do. I think they're exciting to watch.
All right. So, well, they do everything right. They run the bases. They play defense. They pitch.
As Brian Kenny would say, they're baseball-y.
All things that they do are things that are going to win no matter what era you're in. Doesn't matter how much money you spend, you pitch, you play defense, you run the bases correctly, you do all the things, because each game is individual, right? We're always looking at home runs. No, they night in and night out, they beat you by playing the game the right way, by doing it, by fundamentally playing, and that was one of the things about Pat Murphy earlier this year. He started benching guys, right? He benched guys when they didn't play well, and when they did dumb things, he benched them. Where a lot of teams are scared to do that because they don't want to upset the players. Pat Murphy said, hey, you know what? Come take a seat next to me.
Sorry, I saw Jared Sandler of the Rangers just text me that he's finishing up with their flagship, so I'm going to tell him, okay, because we have about 9 minutes before we go to break, and then Eric Kubota is going to join us, the director of scouting for the Athletics, at the bottom of the hour.
Well, one thing that I was going to get into, if he doesn't show up, I think it's really interesting. For the A's, the last 38 games, the A's are 19-19. Before that, they lost 20 of 21, and they started the season 22-20. So if you look at the first 42 games in the last 38 games, the A's are 2 games over 500. But that stretch of 21 games where they lost 20 of 21, that was the ultimate killer. So the question is, who really are these guys?
It's a good question. Then
right? Because that's a stretch. When you lose 20 of 21.
We got this. By the way, we got this camera. We're going fancy.
What? We got a new cam. Jared's bringing out new cameras now. I mean, when you bring on the head honcho of the Rangers, you start changing things up. How are you?
What's up, Chris? I'm sorry I'm late. We had to get some really important trade deadline questions in on our flagship station, and then talk about Klay Thompson's outfit, because he's down here on the field was taking batting practice. So I apologize for my tardiness.
Klay Thompson is one of the coolest guys you're ever going to meet. One of the most genuine superstar. Love me some Klay Thompson. Obviously, everybody will always love him for what he did for the Golden State Warriors. So my question, Rangers Talk, first-time caller, long-time listener here to Texas Rangers Talk. Is Jacob deGrom going to get traded at the deadline?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that, well, first of all, he's got a no-trade clause, and I don't think that, let's just say the Rangers were interested in trading him, which I feel pretty confident that they have no interest in trading deGrom or Nathan Eovaldi. But hypothetically speaking, if they did have interest, I don't think the small market teams that would interest him would have the money to take on his contract. And I don't think he's got a ton of interest going to New York or Toronto or Philadelphia or one of these teams that, has money to spend. So I don't think that there would be a situation that would justify in his mind exercising his ability to waive the no trade clause. but I don't think the Rangers have any interest in trading him. They signed him to be the guy that he's been this year, and I think they signed him to be that guy for more than just one season. And if the Rangers did sell, and Chris, the way things are headed, I don't think they're going to, but if they did sell, I don't think it would be a total blow up. I think they would try and make some moves to be competitive again next year, and I think they'd have to look at Jacob deGrom as a guy to be a part of the solution for that.
My second question here on Rangers Talk, not thinking as a fan, but thinking as a guy running the franchise. What is the smart way to go about the trading deadline for the Rangers now and for the future? At 50 and 50 right now.
Yeah, I'll say this. Last year they effectively stood pat. I mean, they added Andrew Chafin and Carson Kelly. They really didn't give up a lot, though. So let's just say they stood pat. I think it's tough in this league to go 2 straight years at the deadline and not improve your franchise either in the immediate or the future. And so I think you've got to do something. Now, we have seen teams effectively do a little bit of both. And with the third wild card spot, you kind of can do that, right? Now that it might not take 90 wins to get in, maybe it takes 86. You can, maybe do a little bit of that. And I do think that the Rangers could do that, right? I think, Adolis Garcia's name's been talked about, and maybe to clear some money, the Rangers would make that sort of a move, with him probably due to get about, somewhere in the teens in millions of dollars next year in his final year of arbitration. But I think I look at this organization right now and Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi. It's not like they've got a core of guys who are young who are necessarily going to be, getting better year after year. And, they remind me not of last year's team, which was in a similar spot, but just didn't look like they had the chops to make a run. At no point were you really encouraged after a week-long stretch like, yeah, I think they're figuring it out. For the last month plus, this team has started to look a lot better. They're giving some games away that I think they can tighten up. But given that you got the third wild card spot, I still kind of think this team's in a decent spot to make a run. The risk, which is kind of the base of your question, the risk is that if you come up short, you miss out on an opportunity to maybe improve your franchise moving forward. You kind of feel, empty-handed a bit. But I get the sense that, they feel good about this lineup turning things around. They've got the best pitching in baseball. They've got arguably the best defense in baseball. It's kind of tough to punt on that and not take a shot as long as you're within striking distance.
We do a thing on Tuesdays called Hot Take Tuesdays. We do it every Tuesday. Crazy hot takes. And last year, one of my hot takes was we're not going to see anything major at the trading deadline. And it came true. There wasn't really anything major like the big names. You expect anything big to happen this trading deadline because we see some of these front offices, their prospect capital, they don't want to give it up. It's just the trading deadline now seems like we're all just going after relievers. You expect anything big to come out of this trade deadline?
Yeah, and, I guess if Luis Robert was playing well, then he would be he's a big name in terms of potential, right? But I still think he gets moved, but it can't be as exciting given that he's a borderline 200 hitter, right? So Arizona's a curious team for me because I do think that if they make some moves, they got some interesting pieces who could be dealt. But no, I think you're right. I think the third wildcard team, change has been additive in some ways, but I think it's also maybe taken away from the type of player who gets moved at the deadline, unless it's just one of those Juan Soto type years where it's like, hey, we got to capitalize on his value now. But I'll also say this. Any year I feel like I really know what's going to happen at the deadline, the exact opposite happens, and I look like a total idiot, which is probably in line with what the reality is. So I don't think so, but that probably just means we're 5 minutes away from some bombshell trade dropping and kind of rocks the baseball world. And then, as you know, if a team makes a big move with 10 days to spare, then their division rivals all of a sudden start cooking something up, and now it becomes very reactive, and it's that one domino that falls that sets off the entire train.
Well, that's what Hot Take Tuesdays are. You do.
You want my hot take though?
I'm going to ask for it because it's either either look like a genius, and if you look totally wrong, it doesn't matter because that's what a hot take is. No one wants medium takes. No one wants kind of hot takes. We want flaming hot takes. So, give me your hot take for the trading deadline.
Well, this isn't necessarily trading deadline related, but before the season, I said that the Athletics would finish ahead of the Houston Astros, and unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think the Houston Astros end up finishing third in the AL West. That's my hot take.
Say that again?
I think the Astros end up finishing third in the AL West.
Whew, really?
I mean, they got no Yordan Alvarez, and who knows when he's going to be back. Jeremy Pena is out. Isaac Paredes is now out. Their lineup stinks. I mean, it's just not a good lineup. And their pitching's fine. Fromber and Hunter Brown are really good. Their bullpen's fine. I mean, I know they've performed really well, but I'm curious how that group performs as the season continues. I just think that they're a team that, hey, credit to them. They took advantage of playing well, and they banked a whole lot of wins. You know, they were 20 games over 500 at one point, but they've lost 7 of their last 9. And when we just saw them, they just didn't look that there's nothing about them that's like, man, I'm nervous to play this team. I think Seattle's good, and I think they get better at the deadline. I do think the Rangers end up getting better at the deadline. And my hot take, and you can and it's a hot take for a reason, right? I don't know that it's going to happen. The odds are not in my favor, but you can check me on this at the end of the year in September whenever we face the Athletics again. I think the Astros finish third in the division.
Well, how about this? You want a hot take? The two best players in the division are in your house tonight, and they're not wearing Ranger uniforms. That's Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And isn't it crazy that you're not saying Lawrence Butler? Because before the season, if you were making that comment, you'd probably say, hey, Lawrence Butler. Now, I would argue and say that Corey Seager, who is, after playing through some injuries, the first month and a half is back, and he is one of the 2 best players in the building from a position player standpoint. But, hey, it's been a lot of fun watching Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson. I think good young players are good for this game. And, I know the Athletics are a division rival, but I hope for the fan base that they continue to have positive things happen and watching young, good players like Lawrence Butler and Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson. And when he's healthy, Denzel Clarke, I think is great for baseball in Northern California. And I hope it keeps on going, just not for the next 3 games.
Hey, do you get the MLB notes every day from MLB Network?
I do.
Go check it out. Weighted Runs Created Plus. Everybody loves WRC Plus.
Yeah.
The leader in weighted runs created plus since May 20th over Aaron Judge is
Nick Kurtz.
Nick Kurtz.
Yeah, and we we got him for his debut, right? But we didn't see this version of Nick Kurtz. We saw a guy that was kind of tripping over himself a little bit defensively, some bloopers there. But obviously, the plate discipline, the foundational skills to go along with the big boy power has been fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing it up close and personal.
Hey, good stuff. Have a good series. We'll talk to you, my friend. Be well.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Jared Sandler does a great job with the Texas Rangers. Join us here on A's Cast Live. Eric Kubota. Let's talk draft next as we're getting you ready for the A's and the Rangers.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today.
A's All-Star Jacob Wilson joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about being named the starting shortstop for the American League in this year's All-Star game in Atlanta.
You can't even describe it. They're just, it's everything you've ever wanted as a baseball player, to be able to hear those words. And, a countless amount of thank yous that, go out to the teammates, coaches, the people that you have in your corner on a daily basis. And it was a crazy day for me, and, super grateful, super thankful for this year so far, and, just being able to, really excited to take it in the second half.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor. for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
For just $25, fans can sit in the general admission outfield grass for all regular season home games. Tickets for that day's game will open up daily at 9 a.m. for purchase at athletics.com/lawn. Sign up to receive A's alerts to receive a text the first morning of each home series as a reminder. For more information, visit athletics.com/lawn.
2025 All-Star Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live to reflect on becoming an All-Star for the second time in 3 years.
And I walked in that locker room in Seattle and saw my jersey and saw the rest of the jerseys that were there. And, it's kind of like one of these things doesn't belong here. And that's probably mine. I didn't feel like I was the same caliber of player as the rest of the guys in that clubhouse. So to be able to do it again 2 years later, just continues to help me build confidence and know that I can go out there day in, day out and compete at a pretty high level.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Streaming from NBC Sports, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All righty, we got a couple notes to update right here. Nick Kurtz is your American League Player of the Week after hitting .583 with a 1,949 OPS. He's been on absolute fire. Last 7 games, he's got a 7-game hitting streak, tying a career high. He's hitting .500, 4 home runs, 5 doubles, a triple, and 9 RBIs. And we just got word on Denzel Clarke. Unfortunately, Denzel Clarke is going to be out. Denzel Clarke is going on the IL. Martin Gallegos has just put that out on Twitter. A grade 2 abductor strain. He'll be placed on the IL. No timetable there. We'll see who is going to get called up. So that is unfortunate because of what his defense. It's unbelievable. Eric Kubota, Director of Scouting, joins us here on A's Cast Live. I've got a question for you beyond the draft. I wonder years ago, take you back when you were leaving Cal, the University of California at Berkeley, did you ever think you'd be in baseball your entire life? It's amazing how long your run has been in MLB.
Towny, I didn't think I'd be in baseball the next week, if you want to be honest. So this has all been the most amazing journey for me. So, it's pretty incredible.
What was it, 87 or 88? What was your first year?
Actually, I worked on the 86 All-Star game, 87 All-Star game, right around there. I was an intern, helped out wherever I could. One of my old mentors back then said, make yourself indispensable. And I did my best to do that and stuck around. They haven't kept my head down for a long time.
Well, looking at the draft, it's so different now. Just for you, what is it like? Because forever, when we were all growing up playing and we all wanted to get drafted, it was the June amateur draft. It was all about June. You couldn't wait. Now it's into July, and it's the All-Star break, and you don't have the same amount of time to sign the guys and get them out there playing so they can have – I mean, some of these guys won't even play, let alone just get a couple weeks. Just tell us how the draft has been different for you now going from June to July.
Well, just one quick note before that. When I first started at the A's, we had one computer in the office, in the whole office. So the world has changed quite a bit since then. As far as the timing, I might be one of the only people in baseball that is a fan of the July draft. My feeling is that, the more time we have to get this draft right, the better off we are. But it does. It affects those kids getting out and playing that first year. Honestly, though, kind of where we had gotten at a certain point, a lot of those kids' negotiations stretched on. They went through most of the summer. They didn't get out and play anyways in a lot of cases. So it hasn't seemed to hamper some of our recent draft picks as far as getting out and getting a ton of ABs that first summer. But in a perfect world, we would be able to get them out earlier. it definitely changes a lot of the dynamics, but the draft itself is still pretty much the same operation.
Well, obviously, when you're picking 11th, a lot can happen, right? You got names up on the board, guys that you like, college guys, high school guys. You don't know who's going to be taken in front of you. You can kind of have an idea. But when Jamie Arnold out of Florida State, ACC, when he showed up for you at number 11, was this a no-brainer pick for you? Because a lot of people thought he could have been, at one point, he could have been first player taken. We hear this all the time. He could have been the top guy in the draft. We heard that about Nick Kurtz also. So when he was there at number 11, no-brainer?
You know, I don't think any of our decisions are ever no-brainers. So there was certainly some thought. We were extremely surprised that Jamie got there. Very happy that he did. You know, while I might not go so far as saying no-brainer, he made it a really easy decision for us.
All right, the highlights I've seen, it's long legs, long arms. He's got a funk. He's coming at you with funk, and he's got tremendous stuff. What did you see in him that made you want to take him with the 11th pick?
All of that, Towny, and you know, a history of success, high strikeouts, competitive, a very competitive nature. You know, we got to meet with him, his mindset, just how he approaches pitching. Very modern, if I can, you know, put it, you know, that terminology on him. Our Mike McFerrin, our pitching coordinator, got to meet with him, loved everything, you know. And there's just a lot left to Jamie. He's funky. He's got that low slot, kind of reminds people of Chris Sale. But we just think there's more to kind of weaponize there with Jamie. And he's been really good with what he's done so far. And we think there's so much more left to him to finish off.
You know, it's like what we're going to see with Jacob Lopez today, or just looking at highlights of Gage Jump. These lefties that really hide. I know there's a lot of people listening, they can't see it, but they hide the ball down below. Barry Zito did this. These lefties that hide the ball, and now with these lefties that are coming, I guess you'd call it three quarters, they're just really tough to see. There's something about that hitters just don't pick these guys up because they hide it, and then they're slinging it.
Right. You know, probably you and I, we used to call it deceptive back in the day, you know, and now, you know, it's induced vertical break and all these different terminologies. You know, the funny thing about Jamie and Gage is their slots are a little different, but their approach is similar in a lot of ways. Top of the zone fastballs that kind of jump on guys. Just, you know, it's hard to square the fastball up. You know, going back 20 years, we used to go, he's just funky. I'm not sure exactly what it is. And maybe we're finding out kind of, you know, what that is. But yeah, I mean, I think we're appreciating that funk probably a little bit more nowadays.
Yeah, that's what we always say. The guy's just funky. Like, we don't have that on Baseball Savant. It doesn't say he's just funky, but there is something that there are guys you just don't pick up. That you know, and if think about Randy Johnson, how he was when he was 6'10", but he's coming away from the side. It's hard to see, and the ball gets on you. The expectations, you know, Jacob Wilson has come so fast to the big leagues. Nick Kurtz has come so fast to the big leagues. Do you see the same thing with Jamie Arnold coming out of Florida State college guy that, you know, we could see him sooner than you think?
Right. You know, we always say guys get here on their own schedule. You know, and it kind of just plays out. I don't think the intention, you know, going back to last year's draft or 23, I don't think we ever said, you know, Jacob will be in the big leagues next year or Nick will be in the big leagues next year. We did. I mean, we appreciated their feel for the game and their kind of advanced knowledge. You know, they came about it different ways. Jacob, son of a big leaguer, Nick, you know, big college program. They were probably advanced in their mental approach to the game, which carries them a long ways. But I don't think we ever sit there and go, you know, this guy will be there on this schedule. They kind of proved to us when they're ready.
You know, back in the day when people were drafted out of the Big Ten, you thought of like Dave Winfield and Paul Molitor, Minnesota, or you had like Barry Larkin and Chris Sabo out of Michigan, but there wasn't a lot of guys taken out of the Big Ten. Why? It's snow and it's cold. They only get to the snowbirds. They only get to play so much. Now we have guys coming out. I mean, Perkins out of Indiana. Now you're taking Devin Taylor out of Indiana. I think that's interesting. Guys coming out of the Big Ten, but he seems this this Taylor kid who he took out of Indiana seems like he can kind of do it all. He's got defense, he's got power, he can hit for average, he makes contact. Tell us about what you took with this Hoosier.
Yeah, really advanced hitter. I mean, just a very, very advanced college hitter, both from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint. Obviously has power, career leader in home runs at Indiana, just a high performer. You know, he's played left field most of his career. A lot of times we chalk things like that up to just lack of attention to defense at college programs in a lot of cases. I mean, we're much more, kind of directed on us. Like, defense is important. You talk to Kurtz all the time. Defense is really important, and we stress that from an early, day one in the minor leagues. And I think Devin's going to be a really good defensive player, and he comes with this polished bat and power.
Looking down the list of the guys that you selected, obviously we can't go through everybody, but a lot of college guys and a lot of pitchers. Was that the strategy going in, or is that just how it happened?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think when you get to a certain point in the draft, I mean, you're probably going to sign college guys easier than you're going to sign high school guys. Not that we haven't signed high school guys throughout the draft. If you look back at our history, most of the high school guys that we've really been successful on have been first round picks, really. I mean, the best players come from the top. So the college players, it's easier to sign. They're more mature. They're ready to go out. As far as the pitchers, I mean, I don't think we intended to go into it trying to take more pitchers, but I do think we recognize that we could use additional pitching depth. Everybody can use pitching depth in their minor leagues. And, the way the draft fell, I think it presented us with what we felt were some opportunities to add to our pitching depth.
So when you're going through the draft and you're going through all these players, how much do you rely on the scouts that saw them, that brought them to your attention? Just take us through that process, because obviously the first round, you have that list of all the guys that you think are going to go in the first round. But as you get into like the 6th, the 8th, the 10th round, to take us through this and these players, if there's a Lawrence Butler, this high school kid in Atlanta, why are we going to take him? Take us through that process of who is fighting for these guys for you to draft them inside your scouts.
That list that you're talking about in the first round, that list ends up being a list of 600 or 700 guys in ranked in preferential order. That's what we do prior to the draft. And our area scouts, we meet with them individually prior to coming out to the big league ballpark for the draft. They're there when we're drafting. We have further discussion. David and Dan obviously are a big part of those discussions. Ed Sprague is there. Mike McFerrin, our pitching coordinator, and Ben Lowry, who probably doesn't get enough recognition. Ben Lowry does a lot of our analytics. Most of them on the draft side is very, very influential for us. And we just have these discussions ongoing as the draft is going on. We're trying to strategize how to best use our picks, because sometimes you may know you like somebody better than the other teams do. So you can take somebody else first and get that player later on. Circling back to Lawrence, like you mentioned, Jamel Spearman, the area scout who signed Lawrence, he was very, very directed. He was very focused on Lawrence from early in that spring, and just made sure when he had cross-checkers in the area, made sure that we knew that he thought we should see him. And we got a lot of looks at Lawrence, and Jamel did a really good job getting to know him. And I mean, that one's paid off in spades. So it's just ongoing, those discussions, Chris. I mean, as the draft goes on, David and I and Ben and the scouts, we're constantly rolling things around, scenarios and things like that to try and maximize whatever picks we have left.
Yeah, we got great insight on how you guys talk in the war room when we saw the movie Moneyball. We saw all those great clips of what you guys talk about. His girlfriend's a 6. What does that mean? No confidence. We love all that dialogue you guys have.
Yeah, it might not be quite like that, although, obviously the book there's a lot of hyperbole that goes on in that room. That's, and we're scouts, we're dreamers. That's what we do. We have to. And, so if you took everything literal that we said in that room, we'd be right about 1% of the time, but it's all part of the process and part of the discussion. And my job really is to piece all of that discussion together and try and decipher, who the best person to take when it's our turn to pick is.
All right, I got a list of all of them, and I know you love all of them because that's how it works. But throw some guys out there that you want to highlight here that you took, and you're like, I'm glad we got this guy when we got him.
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, I look back at different stories. I mean, Matt Chapman, he obviously a first round pick. Matt didn't have the greatest junior year at Fullerton. We liked him. I think in a lot of cases, some of us felt like we liked him too much early in the spring, and the way that season went, maybe we should go back. And so I went back, thinking maybe I was too high, and he still played well. And we were lucky enough to get him to the stadium one day for a workout, and Billy was there. And Matt did Matt things and was just crushing balls as a prior to the draft. There's so many. There's late round picks like Ryan Dull, who Neil Avent was the only guy who saw him, and Neil kind of puts his reputation on the line and says, this guy, I like this guy, I think he's a big leaguer, and get him in the 20-something round, and he's a big leaguer. And so it's satisfying whether they're a first round pick for us or a 40th round pick or somebody we signed after the draft. All those guys are satisfying to us. I'm sure if I gave it more thought prior to get it on here, I could think of a lot. But yeah, there's so many stories that go into each of those guys that we could go on forever.
So we highlighted you with David Forrest right here on A's Cast Live when I think you had your 100th guy make it to the big league level that you had drafted. Like whether he was with the A's or not, it's a guy that you drafted, and it was number 100. Obviously, was a very big deal, and it makes me think because we talk about you, and we talk about David, and we talk about everybody in the front office, but the scouts, we actually had Neil on the show not too long ago, but we don't talk about the scouts all that much. And I thought when you guys were all in Sacramento and getting ready for the draft, and all the scouts came to the ballpark to be with all the different guys that they have drafted that are on our big club right now, because you're looking out, and I was talking about it with David Forrest going, man, you just look at the whole outfield's drafted. The whole infield's drafted. I mean, other than Langeliers and Rooker, everybody on the field right now is someone that was drafted. It says a lot about you, says a lot about the staff. I thought it was so cool to bring all those guys out to throw out the first pitch. What did that mean to your guys?
Yeah, that's a special moment. I mean, these guys work in anonymity, really. They're out there by themselves for the most part, driving tens of thousands of miles every spring, just trying to do everything they can to help us. And that's, for me, the greatest part about as satisfying as it is for me personally to like turn the TV on, and just like you said, 7 of the 9 guys in the lineup are guys we drafted and signed. But for those guys to be getting just a little bit of the recognition they deserve is what's most gratifying to me. I mean, those guys, they deserve it. They work their buns off for not a ton of money. And yeah, it was great. That evening at the ballpark was special. I mean, it was, those guys won't forget that, for as long as they were.
So from your side of the business, you draft these guys. Now all the negotiations start to happen. Once guys start getting signed, then is it immediately starting working on next year's draft? Because the juniors in high school are going to be seniors. And you got the guys that are in community college are always going to be eligible. You got the college kids that are sophomores are going to be juniors or seniors. So when does that process start for next year?
Yeah, it's already began. I mean,
already.
Yeah, we've had our guys are out seeing like the collegiate national team, which is guys for next year. They're seeing them before the draft. It's just with the later draft, these are things you can't avoid. So that happens. It happens all spring long when we're looking at guys eligible for this year. We're also looking at guys for next year or down the road. But yeah, now you have these high school showcases, the East Coast Pro Showcase, area code games. And then you have the fall seasons will start. There's no rest for the weary. I mean, I tell people if we wanted to, we could work every day. There's always something we can do, but yeah, we're getting ready for next year. We still have our eye on the rear view, and we'll be watching to see how these guys that we drafted this year do. And it's important to remember none of this happens with just the scouting department. I mean, player development, what Ed Sprague and those guys do, and Keith Littman before Sprague, none of this works without both of us. So, and really it continues on to Kotz up in the big leagues, the work that he and his staff do, finishing them off there. It's collaboration is the only way it works for us.
Well, your run with the Athletics and in Major League Baseball is second to none. It's absolutely. I mean, you basically left college and you've been in Major League Baseball ever since. It is it's truly one of the great careers, and it's always wonderful to have you on and good to see you at the ballpark. You be well, my friend, and we'll check in later on.
Appreciate it, Towny.
Eric Kubota joined us, their director of scouting for the Athletics. Like 87, I said 86, and then an 87 All-Star game, and you start thinking about how long he's been with the A's longer than you've been alive.
Well, I mean, it's true, yes.
It's true. That's how long he's been with the A's. It's amazing. It's just, and all the different players and that's the cool thing, right? It's like you draft all these players, and you draft the guy, they sign him. After that, that's out of your hands, right? Whether he gets traded, whatever happened. But if he makes the big leagues, that's another guy you drafted. So he's had over 100 guys, and it's now way above that. But I mean, I don't remember when it was. Was it 2 years ago, 3 years, whatever it was with David Force. I remember because, we do David Force about every 2 weeks. And I remember David Force goes, "Hey, let's talk about this today on the show." It's a really big milestone for somebody in Eric's position to have 100 guys officially that you've drafted make the major league level. And now, because there's less guys that because of COVID, and they're not going back. There used to be unlimited rounds in the draft. You could just keep drafting, and teams would stop drafting, and other teams would keep drafting until everybody was like, "You done? You good?" I mean, when I was in high school, I think there were 70 rounds. There was like 70-something rounds. Then it was 50 rounds. I mean, there was so many rounds. It was crazy.
And then the COVID year was only 5, right? It was 5 rounds. I think.
Oh, yeah, they cut it down. It was.
And then it was
it 10?
No, I think it was 5. I think it was only just 5, right? The 2020.
And then it's at 20 now, right?
Yeah, it's 20 now. And then I want to say I think it was just 5 rounds.
Think about that. You went from
160 picks in 5 rounds.
So think about that. You went from draft till you stop to 20 rounds. So that's why years ago you'd hear, "Hey, guy who hasn't played baseball since high school, but he's a great college football player. He got drafted in the 60th, right?" It's like Mike Piazza getting drafted in the 61st or 62nd round. But they used to just draft endless amount of dudes. You draft a guy, Peyton Manning. Yeah, he played night. Dan Marino got drafted. Dan Marino was never going to play baseball. Dan Marino was going to be an NFL quarterback. No reason to ever draft, but they would draft him. Dan Marino got drafted.
Tom Brady, Expos. Russell Wilson got drafted.
Tom Brady did play, though.
Yeah, but well, I'm looking at guys. I'm just thinking like quarterbacks that played that got drafted. But yeah,
dude, you could go through like Stan Humphries was drafted. You go through all the different quarterbacks that were drafted. Billy Joe Tolliver. I just know that. I don't know why those Charger quarterbacks come to my mind, but there's all kinds of quarterbacks that got drafted, and they were never ever. We were just talking about it up in Sacramento. The old Patriots, Jack Trudeau.
Oh,
Jack Trudeau and Steve Grogan were the two guys that got the Patriots to the Super Bowl in '85 against the Bears.
That's right, because we're talking about Tony Eason.
Tony Eason. Yeah, Jack Trudeau. It was Sachs. Steve Sachs knows Trudeau. Sachs played with him. Jack Trudeau was drafted. He was never going to play baseball. Suppose he sucked at baseball, but he played quarterback at the University of Illinois, the Fighting Illini, and he was a really good quarterback for the Patriots. So these quarterbacks are Jim Kelly. All these guys got drafted.
Yeah, I think it was Sachs was talking about somebody looked like Tony Eason, and that's why and then I was mentioning how they had that 30 for 30 on, and then we went down the rabbit hole of Tony Eason and Ken O'Brien and an 83's draft.
Ken O'Brien, UC Davis.
Elway's like, you know what? I'll go play for the Yankees, and that whole thing. So
Elway was legit, though.
Remember, Kubota had a spot in a big part in Moneyball, and Billy walks in and Brad Pitt walks in and says, "Kubota, you never played pro ball, right? Well, I played T-ball. You're the new head scout."
Speaking of Moneyball, we on the way over to Hawaii, my daughter was watching it again, and he says the first time they do the scout scene is, I like a guy's got a little hair on his ass. That's the first thing of the scout scene.
The ball explodes off his bat. Can't hit the curveball.
We have some. Yeah,
I like guys like that. They got a little hair on their ass.
That's not Grady who says that, right? The guy that plays Grady.
The great Grady Fuson, who, once again, still with the organization. Let's pause for station identification right here on A's Cast. Good show.
Tomorrow's gonna be fun because I updated the intro for Hot Take Tuesday to put some stuff in there. I'm going to convince it to be Johnny D and Steve Sachs because Sachs is on the road trip with Johnny.
Okay, so tomorrow will be 60 games left.
Yep.
Tomorrow I'm going to be asking the question, 60 games left. Right now they're 42 and 59. What win total do you need to see at the end of the year? 60 games left. What win total do you need? Once again, first 42 games, they went 22 and 20. Next 21 games, they lost 20 and 21. Disaster. Last 38 games, they're 19 and 19. So basically, they're about a 500 team if you take away that horrific stretch. But you don't take that away. It's who you are. So what do you need to see this last 60 games? Because we heard, get me some starters. Well, you went out and you got Severino, you got Springs. So you won 69 games last year. What's the total you need? Sleep on it. What's the total you need to see at the end of the year after today's game, 60 games left? So you go, you know what? I'm cool with that. They won X amount of games.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. After today, we're going to
know. I know
39.
Now I know a couple of you are like, they need to get the over. All right. We will be back tomorrow at 3:00. Coming up next, it's Johnny and Steve Sachs getting you ready for A's baseball, and then I'll be back, A's Cast on NBC with Shooty Babbitt. We're getting you ready for the A's and the Rangers. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.